Hello Orchid friends, welcome back to my channel. Wherever you are, I hope you're having a great day, staying healthy and staying safe. Today we're going to look at one of my cornu cervi hybrid. This is a cross between cornu cervi and Sue's milk puff. I've talked about this orchid in my channel a couple of times, and each time I get different reactions. Some people absolutely adore the color or even just the way that these flower spikes look. By the way, they look quite not the same. They don't look the same as the typical Phalaenopsis orchid because the flower spikes are flatter and longer, and they pretty much stay green all year round and bloom sequentially. And because the flower spikes are flatter and the way they look in Asia, in fact I probably talked about this in this orchid's previous video too. In Asia, it has another nickname and it's called antlers orchid because the way that the flower spike look reminds people of the antlers on deers, so they also call this antler orchid. In fact, the cornu cervi family is the antler orchid family, and I kind of see the resemblance. I can see the resemblance, and so I thought that nickname is quite cute. This orchid unfortunately is not fragrant, but I think the color red and then the contrast, the white contrast on the lip is also making this orchid a very interesting orchid to look at when it's in bloom. And when it's not in bloom, the leaves and the flower spikes is also something that I looked at quite a lot. I pretty much keep this orchid sometimes either on the orchid rack on my eye level just so I can constantly look at it, or sometimes I move it over to the dining table as a centerpiece because the way that the flower spikes are pretty upright and they just have this really interesting look, and they, like I said, they stay green all year round, so it's almost like I can almost treat it like a succulent plant. Now I have another cornu cervi hybrid, and that one is more yellow background with red markings, and then this one is completely red because the cornu cervi in the parentage is that red, very famous red variety, Chattaladae, but it's not fragrant unfortunately. But every time though, when the flowers open, you can tell that it's really waxy and it's very substantial. It's pretty thick as well if you put your hands on it. This orchid is currently grown in a cup with no drainage hole, and the medium I use for this one is the sphagnum moss. So this is the moss no hole method, and for this method there are two things that really need every orchid hobbyist's attention if you want to try out this method. Number one, the moss cannot be packed too tightly. You want to actually make sure the moss is super fluffy. Number two, watering. The watering is because there's no way for the water to drain out on its own, so it's important to give a very fixed amount of water depending on the size of your orchid and the amount of roots it has. For this particular one, typically quarter cup of water is perfect for it for summertime, and in winter time I can reduce it down to 1/8 of a cup, and that is a relatively safe amount each time, so that I don't have to worry about having to drain the excess water out. However, because at the end of the month, that last watering cycle, I like to use just water to soak the orchid completely, so you do need to dump out the excess water, and typically 2 hours, 3 hours later, you want to try to dump out another, try to do it another time to make sure that the excess water pooling at the bottom of the cup can also be drained out completely. That's the only way to make sure that your orchid is not, having too much water, which can rot the root. Other than that, the care for this orchid really is nothing special. Quarter cup of water in summer, 1/8 of a cup in winter time. And for the fertilizer, I always only give this orchid quarter strength, so 25%. And that's it. Not very fussy at all, very easy to take care of. So if you don't have any orchid like this, I encourage you to get one. They're not expensive. I think I paid $25 for this one a couple years ago. Okay, here some kind of soft rot, black rot that was happening on one of the leaves. So what I had to do quickly was basically use a sterilized scissor and cut away those infected tissues. So I was able to keep the majority of the leaf, but then just have to lose that portion. And with the incision, the cut wounds, you can just leave it air dry, but if you do want to, you can also use cinnamon powder to make sure that the incision or the cut wounds can dry more quickly, but otherwise air dry is fine. And this is the first flower after that leaf incident. It still continued to grow and eventually gave me another bloom in this fall, in the summertime. This orchid bloomed 2 to 3 times a year, not at a very set schedule, but usually it blooms the most in springtime, but then it has bloomed in summertime, in the autumn for me. So when the conditions are all met, this orchid can potentially bloom more than one time, and that it has done that for me many times. All in all, I really enjoy this orchid. I don't have a whole lot of cornu cervi hybrids in my collection, but this one and the other one I mentioned earlier are the two that I have, and I enjoy them a lot. So if you don't have an orchid like this, I encourage you to try to get one. They're not expensive, like I said, anywhere between $20 to $30. You should be able to get a mature sized plant to be able to give you bloom relatively quickly. This is all I have for you today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to get more orchid related videos from my channel, please subscribe and turn on the notification. I want to wish you happy growing, and I will talk to you in my next video. Ciao!